Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I got a new camera. It's so fun. The face tracking thing is on, so the camera follows me as I move. Okay, so this is the DJI Osmo Pocket camera. It is the version 3. We got it secondhand. Picked it up from a guy in Tribeca. Around like $100 less than retail, I think. It is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 camera, and my mic is also the DJI. So the setup linking is super easy. I can just turn on the button here and it automatically connects. Versus me filming with my fancy Sony DSLR camera, I've got to attach this connector here, and then there's like a separate cable. It's also easy, but it's, you know, one less thing to worry about if I were to film with this camera versus the fancy Sony camera. Plus the quality of the video is significantly different if I were to film with the Sony camera versus this DJI camera. DJI camera is very similar to my iPhone, so that's why I think I'm going to switch to film with this DJI camera from now on. It's very travel friendly. I can just take it on the go with me. It's small. The only thing that I have to get used to is the fact that it cannot do zooms like how iPhone camera can do. So for iPhone, I can zoom it with my finger, can use the screen, but with this camera, I can only do it up to 2 times. I love vlogging with my phone though. It is because I can do zoom, I can just use my fingers. It's easy, it's always with me, and I can just pull out my phone to film and capture the moment. Versus the DJI camera, I have to be intentional about it. Again, DJI sells this as a creator combo. I do recommend, and I will link them both in the description box as well. Let's do a quick fit check. I'm wearing these silver hoops from over in New York. I have been wanting to switch piercing from a mix-up silver and gold to all silver. So I will update you guys on that if that happens, which is pretty soon. My silver shell necklace with the black cord is from Lily Claps. This white button-up shirt is from COS. I got it on sale last week. Love the curvy side slit, and it has a really good silhouette paired with most bottoms. And right now I'm just tucking one side of the shirt in the front into my Comsy shorts. It's because I can be able to show the logo. Plus it makes it look more style. I'm wearing this Skims brown bralette. It's so hot outside. So a few times before, when I didn't have a little tank top or wear a proper bra, my shirt was just dripping all over the place, and it's so gross. Let's do a quick recap of what I was up to over July 4th weekend. If you follow me on my Instagram stories, you probably knew that I went to Maine to see the puffins, the birds, out in Boothbay Harbor. It was a very last minute plan. I saw a TikTok video actually from this guy. He went to Boothbay Harbor and booked this tour. So immediately I went online and I saw that on Friday there were 2 tickets left, but it was too close to the day. I wanted to pace things out a little bit, so I booked it for Saturday, knowing that it was predicted to rain or like a gloomy day. I booked it for 10 a.m. kind of last minute. It's just because I was prepared that we would be driving to either Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, or up to Maine. I wasn't 100% satisfied because it was such a gloomy day, but we still had a lot of fun. There was obviously a lot of driving, so let me pull out my camera roll and recap the trip. So in case you don't know, July 4th is the US Independence Day. We drove out at 11 a.m. It was kind of like a late start. So I do recommend, if you ever leave New York or entering New York with a car, going in super early in the morning or leaving super early in the morning to avoid traffic. This time the traffic wasn't too bad because I'm assuming that New Yorkers have already left the city. So we drove to the spot called the Seafood Shanty. I actually saw it on the Wishbone Kitchen. She's so funny. I love her content. She's the private chef that has been killing it with all of the New England cooking, summer in the Hampton content. Lobster rolls. So we got, here is the picture. We got a lobster roll, clam strips with fries, and then a foot-long hot dog. It was so good and fresh, and it was 100% what I was craving for. I think for the price, it's decent. It's not like the cheapest thing, but if you're buying seafood, you know that you're going to have to pay a little bit more. There was a decent line, so the vibe was pretty popping. Really, I wanted to do either Cape Cod or Martha's Vineyard for the July 4th. Like going to the beach and experiencing July 4th, like fireworks with the local people. I've been to Martha's Vineyard before. These places places on these islands in New England, especially if you were to spend in Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard, you do have to actually book out at least a year in advance. Otherwise, if you book last minute, things are so expensive. The same goes with the Hamptons. Once you get a taste of summer in New England, it's like addicting. You want more, and it's just like so fun. And that's why I wanted to do Martha's Vineyard, because I wanted to go back to that same beach that we went. It was such a magical day. I love everything about it. It's easy to get to, and it's not too expensive, and we really did the day trip. I think I'm going to try to do Nantucket probably end of summer, or plan it for next year. And then we drove up to Plymouth. Decided to spend some more time there to watch the fireworks with the Mayflower 2 boat in views.
You gotta give me 20 bucks. I got 90.
Wow. And then we left Plymouth, drove to our hotel. We booked it using Hotel Tonight with Expedia. It was in Braintree. I would recommend Hotel Tonight if you are looking for a last minute hotel, and if you have Expedia, you can have that assurance that if something goes wrong, you can change hotel and get a refund. So it's like south of Quincy and south of Boston. And then in the morning we went to this place. It's called Rubato. It is a Hong Kong breakfast place, very hip and trendy, and I thought it was okay. Personally, Hong Kong food is not on top of my list. I would prefer Taiwanese. Lately I've been obsessed with Sichuan food, so Sichuan and Taiwanese are on top of my list in terms of Chinese cuisine. We went to a Vietnamese restaurant called Gao. Gao means rice, and I got a bowl of hủ tiếu, and then bò Huế gives me that Vietnam authentic vibe. Thought it was a lot of food, a lot of meat. And then we went to Ballet, which is across the street, to pick up a banh mi. And then we headed to downtown Boston. I wanted to try out a few coffee places because I needed my coffee in the morning. Usually Vietnamese coffee is not like on top of my list. In the morning it's just because sometimes it tends to get very heavy, a lot of condensed milk, and I don't want that because it would just give me terrible stomachache. There's one place called George Howe, and then the other one called Grace Note. I picked up a bag of beans from Grace Note, and then we just walk around downtown. We have been to Boston a few times, so there's really nothing on my list that I wanted to try. If you are planning to do a similar type of road trip, I do recommend to turn off the avoid toll option on Google Maps because it's definitely worth it to pay for tolls. If you have the easy pay toll thing to attach to the car, it's so convenient. We have that. So on Friday we got to downtown Portland at around 5 p.m. and we got lucky with a meter parking. I don't recommend parking at those public parking lot unless you're planning to spend all day there. We parked, and it's right in front of this store called Tudor. They have shoes, bags, clothes that are from all the brands that I love. So I would highly recommend visiting Tudor's if you are in Portland, Maine area, and you have similar style like mine. They carry a bunch of all of the brands that I love and very much my style. Now, of course, I didn't buy anything because I don't like buying things at retail prices these days. I found a China Moat braided rattan bag. I was so close to buy, but I decided not to, just because the color is a little bit too bright for my wardrobe and what I actually will reach for. And then we walked around downtown Portland. We have been to downtown Portland before. I think we only stopped by one store in downtown Portland, and this store is called Blanche and Minnie. So they're like a home goods store, and they sell a bunch of French beauty products, the toothbrushes, the soap, little trinkets and gifts for the home and for the baby. It's like super cute. We walked around downtown for a little bit more, and then we saw a bunch of people. They kept walking into this alley. Turns out they are going to Luke's Lobster. I don't know if you've ever been, but Luke's Lobster is actually founded in New York. Like the first Luke's was in New York. The people that opened Luke's Lobster at the time, they are actually from Portland, so that was their like hometown. I would totally grab a table if the line wasn't that long because there's so many people out waiting outside, so there's no way we're gonna get in. Plus I was slightly hungry, so we decided to get some clam chowder and drove off to the Portland Lighthouse. It was again gloomy, but we got pretty good shot. We have been there before as well. This is a chocolate whoopie pie. We got to Boothbay Harbor at around 9:10 a.m. The boating Puffin tour that we booked at is with cap and fishes. I found this place off from that one TikTok that I saw. I would recommend them 100% because the girl that was with the Puffin Society tour guide was so lovely and everyone was so caring, and they kept going around offering vomit or puke bags and kept making sure that everyone was okay because it was actually quite cold and rainy-ish. I got another cup of coffee after a cup of coffee, so that was my second cup of coffee. We decided to not park in the lot that they recommended because it was $40 for a whole day, and then the guy told us that there's another parking lot up the street that you could pay per hour, so we decided to do that route instead. So we paid for 4 hours, so it was only $8 instead of 40 hours. Then across the street there's an all-day parking for only $10, so I do recommend to not park at the parking lot that they recommended, this tour company. And then the boat ride took, I think, more than an hour, and it was so rocky and I had a little bit of a seasick. Plus I was wearing a tank top, a long sleeve, a cotton long sleeve, and then my cotton sweater from Babaa, and then my comfy shorts, and I thought that was not the ideal clothing option for that kind of weather. I would recommend wearing something thicker like an actual sweatshirt and a rain jacket, and wear a hat like a beanie or something because I was so cold. You could go inside in the lower level, but the AC was on, and then there were a few kids that were crying and they were puking. The vibe was not right, and I had to like go back up to the roof of the boat, and even though it was cold, but it was a little bit better than being inside with hearing people puking and crying.
At around 2 o'clock. You can see the bigger, are much bigger.
And then after that, we got an official steamed lobster meal with steamed clam or the steamers. And that was one of the best meal I've had in a while. This is probably like my favorite kind of summer meal. Lobster and clams are probably my two favorite type of seafoods in this entire world. With Maine, they tend to do things very simple. You can dip your lobster in melted butter, but I prefer, because I'm Vietnamese, I always make a mixture of salt and pepper with lime or lemon juice mixed in it. It's actually really good dip in with just simple steamed seafood. That was not a big lunch, I know. It is just because when we're on road trips, we have to sit in the car for hours. We always want to make sure to not eat a lot of carbs because you're gonna fall asleep. I always want to make sure that I have coffee with me and tons of snack, and just so that we could stay awake. And so yeah, after Boothbay, we started driving down south. We had to return a lens that we rented at Hunt's. We went to Rye Harbor. This spot was actually recommended by Matt James. Like, I saw it on his TikTok. Top 3 places to get lobster roll in New England. So we've been to the other 2 places that he mentioned in Rye Harbor. It's not a restaurant. If you think of a food truck, they're just renting a little hut. And it was kind of busy because it was an hour before they were closed. And the girl actually forgot my order. I had to come in and like tell her after waiting for a while. I thought it was okay. They definitely use a lot more butter than any other places. Plus they have an option to do a hot lobster roll. I always prefer to do hot lobster roll over a cold one because it's tastier. I thought the butter was the standout point for them, so I got a fluffy clam chowder and a hot lobster roll. And then after that, we drove to a family's house. They just recently got a house in north of Boston and recently had a baby as well, so we stopped by to say hi, took some photo and talk a little bit, and then we left. Drove all the way from Boston to Brooklyn, and we made it back before 1 a.m. Again, you should turn on the tow option because it will shorten your driving to a lot. Definitely worth it, and it was fun yet tiring. I don't know, I get to the point now that I have done so many road trips now that it's just like it's so tiring, and I would rather fly in from now. I keep saying it, but then every time when the holiday comes and we always like last minute people, we always, oh my gosh, where should we go? And then we just take the car because it's the easiest way of flying. There has to be a lot of planning, a lot of things involved. So road trips are usually the way to go. Having a car in New York is annoying. It's a lot of driving if you want to leave the city, but it is, again, it's the best option that we could do as of right now, and it's fine. That is it for this week's video. I really hope that you enjoyed. I post a new video every Sunday at 10 a.m. So please be sure to subscribe to my channel below if you haven't already. Give this video a like, leave a comment, and share it to your loved ones. I will see you next week. Take care.